Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got another, this one's going to be a special one because I've got a kind of a combination. I'm going to be doing a deeper dive into one company. That would be Sokoman Minerals, which is up on the screen right now. And then I got a few news releases to talk about. And if I got some time, I'll also talk about what I see happening with the gold, silver, US dollar, stagflation, all that jazz. So let's get started out right away with Sokoman Minerals. Last week, I interviewed their CEO at the time, which was Tim Froud. And the reason I had brought Tim on, and I hadn't talked to him in a while on one of the shows, and they had made an announcement that they're getting ready to start drilling deeper into their orogenic gold system in Newfoundland. I got very excited about that, so I took an initial position in the stock. And then this news came out on Monday that Sokoman Minerals announces new leadership appointments. So Denny Laviolette, he's joined as a director, executive chairman, and CEO. Denny Laviolette is a very talented guy. In fact, I got his bio up there. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But basically, Denny Laviolette is extremely well connected and a super talented geologist with a lot of capital markets experience. And that's what the company needed. Tim Froud is an excellent geologist, but he needed some help in getting the story out there because it's a great story that was underloved. And Denny is very good friends with Eric Sprott. Eric Sprott owns a bunch of stock in, I think he owns over 20% of the stock in Sokoman Minerals. And I think he wanted to get a good guy to help out Tim on Sokoman Minerals. So they brought Denny Laviolette in. They also brought other people. Tim Froud is going to stay on as the president. So this is great because Tim lives very close to the project. So he can be the man on the ground and really get into the rocks because that's what really Tim is all about is exploration. He's your geologist, and he knows this project very well. He knows the entire island of Newfoundland very well, and he'll stay on as the president. Then you got Gary Nassif, who's been appointed as a director. He's a professional geologist, 30 years of experience. He's worked in gold, base metals, and diamond exploration. I spent a lot of my career in diamond exploration, and I find that a lot of people that spent time in diamonds are very good explorers for other things because diamonds are very, very tiny and you're looking for them in big blocks of rock. For example, a 1 carat diamond only weighs zero point 0.2 of a gram. So think about that. You're looking for something that's zero point 0.2 of a gram in each ton of rock, and that's in a high grade situation. And so you got to throw a lot of science at diamonds, and I always get happy to see someone with diamond experience get involved with a project that I'm interested in. Uh, Gives you a little detail of who he's worked with and all that sort of stuff. Greg Matheson is going to be the VP Exploration. So they kind of have revamped the team, if you will, led by Denny Laviolette. So when that announcement came out, I doubled my position on Monday. I doubled my position on Tuesday as well. And so I'm pretty loaded up on this stock. And, you know, in a general sense, when it comes to opportunities, you got to see opportunities and you got to act on them. And when I saw that this company was going to be run by Denny Laviolette And I know because I've followed this project for a few years that it's an exceptional project that was being underloved. I knew immediately that it's going to get more loved. And Denis Laviolette is a great guy to do that. Let's take a look at Denis Laviolette, uh, director, executive chairman, and CEO. He's been in the business for more than 20 years. He's done mining, exploration, capital markets experience, and corporate leadership with a proven track record of driving strategic growth. He began his career in production and exploration geology, including at Timmins, Kirkland Lake, and Red Lake. Now, this Red Lake experience is very important because that's an orogenic gold mine that made Goldcorp in Red Lake Goldcorp. And there you need that experience, and he's got that experience. He's worked in Norway, Ghana, worked at capital markets. He's the founder and chairman of Earth Labs. Now, Earth Labs is very interesting because it was originally an AI, using AI in the exploration business. And it was such a good company that it was taken over by ALS, one of the big mining labs. And so talks about him, Earth Labs pioneering the use of artificial intelligence for mineral exploration. So they sold that to ALS for 30 million. And then Earth Labs has acquired CEO.ca, which is one of the largest investor platforms for people that want to talk about mining stocks, mining stocks, gold stocks, all that, with more than 12 million users and expanded into complementary mining media through the acquisition of the Northern Miner Group. So that Northern Miner has been reporting on mining for 100 years or so. And they also acquired the Northern Miner, Canadian Mining Journal, and mining.com. He was also the founder of Newfound Gold, one of my other picks. And why I like that project, and it'll come up later in the conversation, is because it's an orogenic gold deposit. He was instrumental in that was Canada's one of Canada's most significant high-grade gold discoveries at Queensway project in Newfoundland, and now that they've changed the management there, Eric Sprott also owns a big chunk of Newfound Gold, and they brought in a management team that can bring that into production. So I love these corporate restructurings because it just changes the whole complexion of the company. And that's what has me excited about Denny bringing his expertise to guide Sokoman's vision and bring it forward. Okay, so now let's take a look at the project. This first image here is a great one because if you one of the great uh, orogenic gold mines in the world is called Fosterville in Australia. And you put the core from Fosterville on top of this, and you cannot tell the difference. Somewhere in their website, they have an image that puts the core right on top, Fosterville and this, and you can't tell the difference. This is exactly what you're looking for in an orogenic gold system. 2,400 hectare property. It's right beside the Trans-Canada Highway. The property is targeting high-grade orogenic gold, similar in style to the Fosterville mine in Australia, one of the greatest high-grade gold mines in the world. It's accessible, orogenic gold project in open to exploration. They had high grade samples, 442 grams per ton of gold from boulders, 170 grams over 1.53 meters from drill core. Actually, there's a whole bunch of really high grade holes. I'll show you that in a moment. The current status, this is from their western trend. Look at some of these grades. 69 grams of gold over 4.85 meters, including 176 grams over 1.9 meters. Another hole, 40 grams over 4.3 meters, including 74 grams over 2.35 meters. And these are just virtually right at the surface. 41 meters below surface, 47 meters. Look at this one, 28 meters below surface, 26.72 grams per ton of gold over 3.1 meters, including 40.56 over 1.9 meters. This is exactly what orogenic gold systems look like. High grade, steeply dipping, narrow veins. That's what you're looking for. And that's what they've hit a lot of on this project. Now, in February 2025, they had some more results, 23.83 grams per ton of gold over 1.67 meters, 60 grams of gold over a little over a half a meter from 43 grams, 335, 25. Here is some of the recent drill holes on the Western Trend. Now they've got drilling in various different areas. Let's get down to here's a plan view. It shows you where they're going to be drilling the new 2025 deep drill holes. In a while, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of this Valentine shear. This is a important structure that if you keep following it to the south, you run into the Valentine Lake mine that is being mined is currently brought into production by Equinox. It's a multi-million ounce gold mine, and they're it's still doing exploration and finding new stuff. So this Valentine Lake shear, it's one of these cracks in the earth that go down very, very deep, which are crucial to orogenic gold systems, as are these secondary structures here, like this Eastern Trend shear and the Upper North Pond shear. So uh, I actually think that this is should be over here more, but I don't know how they're projecting that. But nonetheless, that shear zone is very, very important, the Valentine Lake. And it dips down towards the east. And so they're coming in from this side and they're drilling back to cut across the dip. So they get sort of almost perpendicular to the dip of the shear, which is really important. And here you can see, now this is looking at a cross section. So think of cutting a cake in half and looking at it from the side. So they're going to come in there with 673. So they've got plans 673, 675, and 674. 674 is coming in from the east and going, or sorry, from the west and going to the east. The 673 and 675 are coming from the east and going to the west. All right. So here you can get an idea of what's going on. So now you look, now this Valentine shear is projected to depth. And what you see here is that it comes down like this and it comes down like this. Another important factor are these fabrics where they're bending inside the system and secondary structures, thrust faults. These are all really important to an orogenic gold system. So this is 673. It's going to cut across one side of the Valentine shear, through it, and right into the next side. Now, I'm also really excited about this 674 hole because the best hole that they hit, I think it was like 70 grams over 10 meters. So just a spectacular hole. The projection of that strut fault is that it comes down here. So this one going underneath it is very exciting, as is this another secondary fault coming in here, and they're going to get right where those two come together. That's exciting from an exploration perspective. All right. So now there are some galleries here that that is one image I wanted to show you. Here's another image I want to show you with some nice, beautiful, visible gold in it. Actually, why don't we do this? Let's see if I can quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on all these images, but they got a good photo gallery here. So why don't I just sort of grab the ones that stand out to me? 463, where are you? Oh, it's not on here. They need to put 460. Oh, there it is. 463 in the Eastern trend. So they got a few different trends: Eastern trend, Western trend, football splay, 75 zone, South Pond. So as you can see in these various different areas, they've got a lot of high grade gold. 463 was 12.5, or sorry, 39 meters of 12.5, and included in that was a very high grade. I think it was like 70 grams or something like that. But look at here, you got 70 grams over 9 meters, 44 grams over 11.9, 12 grams over 39, 69 grams over 4.85. It just keeps going on, and they've got all kinds of high grade in the various different zones. So now the trick is got to figure out what is happening at depth. And I want to talk about the depth because in orogenic gold systems, they have very deep roots. And what that means is that these zones, these steeply dipping zones, can go down for thousands of meters. In fact, a lot of times the source of where that gold is coming from, where the temperature and the pressure is perfect, it can be down 10,000 meters. And you got to get into the guts of the system at depth. That was the breakthrough at the Red Lake mine for Goldcorp. They got down 1,000 meters. They hit the Bonanza zone, and the rest was history. They became the lowest cost producer of high grade gold and was a money making machine and made them one of the best performing gold stocks during that era before they were taken over. And Fosterville is a similar type story. I think they got down to about 800 meters where they hit the bonanza zones, and the rest was history. Kirkland Lake ended up getting bought out for over around $15 billion. And Eric Sprott himself did very well off of that investment. Uh, okay, so this gives you an idea of some of the zones: 253 North Pond, Western Trend, 75 zone, South Pond. And you look at that, folks, that's like this radius here, you're looking at probably 1,500 meters from side to side and 1,500 meters. And this only represents a very tiny portion of their overall claim. But in these various different zones are those grades I talked about earlier. All right. And here's that map again that shows you how they're going to come in and cut across both sides of the Valentine shear zone and also get underneath that 463 zone. Here's an image of some of the past drilling. Here's a cross section, a long section of the various distribution of the high grade gold. Here's some visible gold in the core. You notice it's not just one speck of visible gold, lots of specks of visible gold in there. This is classic orogenic gold vein system. That's what you're looking for. Now, I would guess that this is at the top of the system, and getting down into it more, you'll get even more juicy looking core than what's here. Oh, this is an interesting endeavor. They went in and they stripped away the cover and they got right down to the veins. And you can see the way these veins sort of move at the surface. Well, the same thing happens at depth. They sort of pinch and swell along the strike and at depth. So figuring that all out is really, really important. Here's the footwall splay image. more of the various different zones that hit high-grade gold in them. Here is a cross section showing you the distribution. So here you got 6 grams. Over here you got 5 grams, and you got more hole drill gold in the drill holes as you keep following the system. So that's the trick, folks, is just you got to keep going down to where it says open. That's where you got to go to find the guts of these orogenic gold systems. And look, everywhere you look, high grade gold all over the place at Moosehead. Uh, this is Hamish Sandeman. And I know Hamish because he and I we were co-authors of a paper on unique diamond indicator minerals and their importance in exploration. And so I've known Hamish for several years. Actually, we wrote that in 2004. So even before I got into being a reporter on the industry, I was a co-author of that paper. And this is a structural expert, an expert at structural geology. And that's what you need in these kind of projects. Here's Hamish and the structural expert. Here's some more. Here's some beautiful looking drill core. This is classic orogenic gold system. Uh, that's that just amazing 25 top holes. Here they're cutting through to get to drilling. Oops, there's a drill rig. Look at the distribution of this gold. It's all over the place on this system. Just putting it all together, that's the key. Here's some of the zones that they've drilled into. Uh, Distribution of gold again, lots of gold in the system. Here's Tim Froud proudly showing off a beautiful example of the veins, the orogenic gold veins at the Moosehead project. Well, this is an interesting image because this one it kind of puts back together the old rock system that before everything broke off and Ireland is up here somewhere. It broke off and they kind of put it back together. And here are some of the important uh, structures that run through Newfoundland. Moosehead is down here in this key Valentine Lake structure, or the red line, red Indian line, it's called as well. Here's where the North Atlantic axis is, and so this is Ireland, and it used to be part of. So you had these structures before these two broke apart billions of years ago. Ireland went that way. Here's Newfoundland, and here's some of the key structures that come through here. And now later, I'm going to show you why that's important when it comes to newfound gold as well. Here's the Moosehead claim block. Oh, I love seeing this. Here's your visible gold pieces, 411 grams per ton of gold and 98 grams per ton of silver in this sample. Just beautiful looking stuff. Here's some in a drill core with banded high grade vein at the contact. So you got the country rock and then you got the quartz veining that you want to see in an orogenic gold system. More drilling. Here's the trench that they did. Here's some of the trends that you can see. Trans-Canada Highway is right over here. So just come off the Trans-Canada Highway and boom, you're on the project. Here's an interesting image because this shows you the complexity of these orogenic gold systems. They've stripped away the cover and now they expose the veins. Okay. So you got shear controlled vein Q2 contains high grade gold. That's this one. Gold-bearing extensional and shear veins linking two main faults. So could you imagine if you're drilling a hole, you come in from over here and you drill right down here, you miss everything. You move over here and you drill back this way and you hit everything. Understanding these systems and the way the veins are oriented is extremely important. And that's what you get when you strip away the cover and you get down to the bedrock. It gives you an idea of what these veins look like as you're going deeper, the trends and the ways that they're moving around in the system. Let's keep going here. I love these old maps where geologists write things and they try to figure out what's going on at depth. This is also really cool stuff. Here is another example of hole 15, 278 grams of gold over a half a meter. Just your classic looking orogenic gold system. Again, here is all these little red dots. These are all visible gold in the vein, and that hole had 385 grams per ton of gold over 1.35 meters. Just exactly what you want to look for. More high grade intercept, 11.9 meters of 44.96 grams per ton of gold. Here you have here's a more complicated geology map, but you can see Moosehead is up here, and down here is the Valentine Lake mine. So you're looking at about 80 kilometers. Up here is where Newfound Gold is, somewhere up here. And so, as the crow flies, you're only looking at about 30 meters from Moosehead. Oh, I just love to see that. Look at that nice chunk of visible gold in there. This system is loaded up with visible gold, folks, and it just needs someone like Denny and his team to get involved. Here they are, a drill rig from the ice drilling into the underneath the lake. More drill core. Look at that. Look at all that visible gold. It's not just one tiny little speck like one of these. Some companies get excited when they see one speck like that. Look at all this visible gold. Here's a nice run of a good vein. What is that? About 8 meters, 8.1 of 68.25 grams per ton of gold. And included in that is 1.55 meters of 173 grams per ton of gold. Here's that image again that shows some beautiful, look at all the gold occurrences, visible gold occurrences. There's that top 25 holes. I think I'm cycling through again. So as you can tell, folks, I'm pretty excited about this project, and I have been for the last few years. And although the company kind of went to sleep for a while, it's not because of the quality of the project. It's just that sometimes companies get underloved and they just need new blood to come in and bring life to the company. And that's what's happened here. And as you can see, it's since the announcement that Denny Laviolette's been taken over, it was trading. Look at all this period where it was just falling asleep and no one was paying attention. Company was struggling to raise money. Eric Sprott would help them get money so they could drill a few more holes, but they could never really roll up their sleeves and get after it the way this project deserves. And now that Denny Laviolette is involved, I think that people are starting to realize, hey, this project is finally going to get the love it deserves. And look at the movement in the stock. It's been on very big volume. What is this? This is I think it traded 15 million shares this day, was up nicely. And then today it was up nicely. I bought a big chunk myself today. And today it was up 52.63% or 5 cents a share. Oh, there it is, 4.95 million shares of trading. It's at 14 cents. It's only a few days away from going through a golden cross. And so um, this is one where it's a special situation that I see a great project that's bringing new life and new leadership into the company. And it's a turnaround that, when you see these things happen, you got to be ready to act. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I've taken a very large position in this stock because I think that Denny Laviolette and his team, along with the help of Tim Froud and Eric Sprott, are going to help make this into a winner. And that's why I took such a significant position into the stock. And I think it still has a great value proposition because the company is only trading at about $40 million Canadian. And considering the quality and how much high grade gold that they've found in in those various different zones, now they got to get precise and get deeper. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. They're about to start drilling in the not too distant future. They've got cash. In fact, Denny Laviolette put about $600,000 worth of his own money into the deal. So the company now has some more money in the treasury to get after the drilling, and I see a lot of good things happening for Sokoman. So that's the Sokoman story. Now, Amex, I'm not going to go a great deal into Amex today because earlier today I did an interview with Victor Cantore. And what we talked about is this news here that was out yesterday that Amex Exploration commences feasibility study at Perron. And the feasibility highlights, they're talking about how they're going to assess the economics of bringing the project into production. It's located in the Abitibi region of Quebec, uh, talking about a low capital cost to bring it into production, average annual production with an all-in sustaining cost of about $1,165 an ounce of gold. Now consider that, folks. Today, gold's trading at about, what is it, 38 or $3,900 an ounce? 38.81. So get a pretty healthy margin there. But here's what really excites me. An average diluted head grade of 10 grams per ton of gold. You just do not find very many of those these days. Victor Cantore, he's the president and CEO of Amex. He commented, and I quote, following the robust economics outlined in our recent PEA, we have made the strategic decision to advance directly to a full feasibility study for the Perron asset. Focusing only on phase one of the project will accelerate the project development, positioning Amex as a near-term producer. Given the strong technical and economic parameters demonstrated in the PEA, we are confident that the feasibility study will position us to move swiftly into the permitting phase, as well as secure project financing and advance toward development. So, really interesting stuff happening for Amex. Let's pull up their chart. AMX. By the way, they're a sponsor of my show, my reports. I thank them very much for that. They enable me to do my work. What has really been a turnaround for the company and has got them a lot of attention since about early April was when they started to talk about fast tracking this towards production. One of the things that they'll do is to do a bulk sample, but it's not your bulk sample where you just go on the surface and take, they'll go underground to take the bulk sample. And they'll do that in a way that is a sort of a production drift that will enable them when they're ready, when they get the permits, to just keep going. So this is that's one step. Another is to do toll mining, where they would pull the material out of the ground, ship it off to a nearby mill, and toll mill it there for a few years, and use the profits from that to keep building out the underground and to bring their own mill on the property so they can not just mine the Great Champagne Zone, which is a very high grade system, but the zones that are around it as well. And so I did an interview with Victor Cantori. Please have a look at it. It went out earlier today. You can find it on my Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com, or you can go on YouTube and just do a search for Rocks and Stocks News, and you'll find that video, that interview that I did with Victor Cantori. As you can tell, I'm a little bit excited about that company. High grade gold has a tendency to get me excited. Okay, the next company is Sierra Madre. Sierra Madre is a relatively new pick that I picked over the last few months. And they announced that the Nazareno silver and gold mine preparing for production. They announced that the underground development has started at Nazareno Silver and Gold Mine within the La Guitarra Silver Gold Complex in Estado de Mexico, in Mexico. To date, over 700 tons of mineralized material have been delivered to the Guitarra processing plant from Nazareno. This material was not included in the mineral resource estimate. Alex Langer, who's the chief executive officer, commented, and I quote, "We're excited to be opening a third mining center at La Guitarra, less than a year after achieving commercial production at our first mine within the complex. We expect Nazareno to be a significant contributor to silver and gold production as we advance our fully funded plant expansion plans, which would more than double capacity from the current 500 tons per day levels by the third quarter of 2027. Nazareno mapping by Sierra Madre. This shows you the underground workings and where they're getting down to. The access drive to get down to the second level. So you got the 150 level and then this second level down here. This is a cross section so you can see what it looks like. Development reconciliation to resource model. So there's already a resource that has an average grade in the indicated of 256 silver equivalent grams per ton, which works out to 214 grams per ton of silver and a half a gram of gold, 251 grams per ton of silver equivalent, which is 229 grams of silver and a third of a gram of gold. So here they show you the underground workings, how that's progressing. They engaged a marketing company to help them with their digital marketing. Always like to see that because it enables them to build their audience, and we need to do a lot more digital marketing in the mining space. So that's the Sierra Madre news. Let's have a look at their stock. V. There it is. Sierra Madre. So I picked them somewhere around here when they were trading at about 75 cents. They're now trading at $1.33. They closed up 3.91% or 5 cents a share to $1.33. Now, I didn't pick this company because I thought that it would make a 50-cent move from 75 or 80 cents to $1.33. Why I picked them is that they're a junior miner that has the plans and the projects to become a much larger junior miner. Doing that while you've got the gold and silver prices in a bull market and headed higher is the kind of the sort of two-punch combination that you want. You've got developments to increase the production and bring down the cost, plus the price of gold and silver doing very well. So that's the combination there. All right. So Southern Cross Gold, they announced the Southern Cross reinforces continuity in Rising Sun, including a half a meter of 342 grams per ton of gold. Um, Project now contains 70 drill hole intersections greater than 100 gram meters of gold equivalent. Really good stuff. There's antimony in this system as well, high grade antimony. So that's really important because antimony is becoming a very crucial mineral, and countries want to get away from depending so much on China, and so they want more of this in country, and especially in a country like Australia. So here are the five key points. That half a meter of 342 grams per ton of gold equivalent, just 12 meters along strike from another hole that hit 604 grams over zero point 0.7 of a meter, demonstrating high grade continuity within the RS15 vein. Now, folks, uh, everyone says gold is king, and it is very important, but continuity and gold, that's really king. It's not just, you don't want just high grade, you want continuity. That's what makes for high grade mines. Broad mineralized zones host multiple gold shoots. 18 meters of 3.7 grams per ton of gold equivalent, containing four distinct higher grade intervals. Another hole hit 5.9 meters of 4.6 grams per ton gold equivalent. They have a stacked vein architecture confirmed, successfully intercepted seven distinct mineralized vein sets in this long named hole. I'm just going to call it AW1 or 169 AW1, and nine vein sets in 178 W1 across vertical intervals exceeding 160 meters, confirming the multi-level nature of this rising sun system. High antimony grades. These three individual assays exceeded 40%, approaching pure stibnite at approximately 71% stibnite, including 43.8% and 42.1%, reinforcing Sunday Creek's strategic importance as a Western world antimony source. Project milestones results bring the total to 70 intersections greater than 100 gram meters gold equivalent and 74 intersections of greater than or from 50 to 100 gram meters. You know, when you get 100 gram meter, that's a good indicator that you could have a mine. This is just loaded up with those kind of intersections. Michael Hudson, who's the CEO and president, stated, and I quote, Sunday Creek again delivers grade and scale. While we've established the continuity in the up and down orientation of the vein sets through extensive drilling, it's now with this more recent focus on a long strike drilling that we're seeing further lateral grade continuity confirmed. Intersection of a half a meter of 342 grams per ton of gold equivalent being just 12 meters along strike from our previous zero point 0.7 meters at 640 grams per ton of gold equivalent intersection in the RS15 vein confirms that the high grades extend consistently in multiple directions. What makes Sunday Creek unique isn't just the high grades, it's the combination of high grades with broader mineralized widths. 18 meters at 3.7 grams per ton of gold equivalent interval exemplifies this perfectly, containing four distinct high grade vein sets within a single broad envelope. This demonstrates how stacked vein sets can create substantially wider zones that are potentially mineable. Additionally, with three zones exceeding 40% stibnite alongside these high-grade broad gold-rich intervals. Sunday Creek showcases a rare combination of grade in two attractive commodities and significant width. This announcement at Rising Sun, along with previous announcements over the last 2 months at Apollo East, Golden Dyke, and Christina, demonstrates significant progress with resource drilling and confidence in the continuity of mineralization, as well as extending the exploration target. With 70 drill intersections now exceeding 100 gram meter gold equivalent across the project, and our successful use of wedge technology enabling precise targeting of these vein sets, Rising Sun, as one of the five bodies across Sunday Creek, continues to deliver on scale, grade, and continuity. This is exceptional by any global standard, end quote. Lots of great stuff in there. You can read the news release with all the highlights and information in it. Let's zoom down, see if we can find any maps. Here you can see all these stacked vein sets going in the northwesterly direction, parallel to each other. In the purple is all the high grade intersections, widely distributed. Beautiful looking stuff. Still wide open in the known veins. And here you are, here you can see those veins projected to depth and all the various different intersections of look at all that high grade distributed throughout these parallel steeply dipping veins. Classic orogenic gold stuff. Up here is Fosterville, which is one of the greatest orogenic gold mines ever. Costerfield is here, and Sunday Creek is down here. So you're looking at what, 60 kilometers? And in the terms of geology, that's right next door. They show you in the more cross sections with the high grade gold distribution. Okay, so that's have a read. They give you a lot of details because they got a lot of great things to talk about. SXGC is their stock symbol. Let's have a look at that. Uh, and there you go, folks. I picked them when they were creating this cup and handle down here before they broke through the 50-day moving average. They were trading at about five and change when I started talking about them on my shows. Since then, they've broken through the 50-day moving average and now are trading significantly above the 50-day moving average. They closed up 2% or 15 cents a share today to $7.65. I think that they have completed the cup and the handle, and now it's onwards and upwards from there. That's a good one to close on. All right, so now let's go into gold. In overnight trading, gold's down $13.90 today, but it was up earlier in the day quite nicely. I talked about the potential for a breakout when gold was trading on the 50-day moving average here. And then right around the time that Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve spoke at the Jackson Hole, Wyoming conference and, basically told everybody that he's going to cut interest rates. Gold blasted off quite beautifully. And the reasoning behind that is the jobs market is imploding. It's in free fall. And so they got to throw inflation under the bus and try to support the jobs market. And that's going to cause more inflation. And without doing dramatic cuts, which they may do because the JOLTS report came out today and it showed again that the jobs market is in free fall. So now people are talking about the possibility at the next meeting that the Fed, instead of cutting out like a quarter that they did at this September meeting, will cut a half and maybe indicate that there's several more of those coming. And so the gold market is sniffing out that stagflation is becoming very problematic, and so same thing is happening with silver. Look at it, the beautiful breakout. They're both going up quite dramatically, and silver is going towards that $50 all-time high. I think it's going to blow through that and start setting a series of record highs. And so the best protection for investors for stagflation is gold and silver and the precious metal stocks. In fact, the precious metal stocks, many of them that I cover in my reports, are significantly outperforming gold and silver. And that's why you look to invest in the precious metals stocks. Now, the backdrop of why gold has moved from the bottom left over here of the chart to the top right is something that I've been talking about, which is the death spiral of debt. And the death spiral of debt is only being made worse because the politicians that are junkies for spending and debt continue feeding their fix and being the junkies that they are. And they keep making the death spiral of debt worse. And then you put on top of that the cost of servicing that debt, and the death spiral of debt gets worse and worse. And the central bankers of the world are realizing that the fiat currency and the debt system is broken. And the only thing that can fix it is gold and silver. And so they're buying in. But that's sort of the backdrop. This movement, I believe, is people realizing that stagflation is coming. And stagflation was very bullish for gold and silver and precious metal stocks in the 1970s. I think it will be again, and we're already seeing the start of that. And stagflation doesn't just start and stop. It starts, it keeps going, and it often leads to hyperinflation. And that's because the Federal Reserve has no tools to fight stagflation. But you do. Investors do. Investors can fight it by owning gold, silver, and the precious metal stocks. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So there you go, folks. As always, I'm merely an idea generator. I use my 32 years of experience in the mining business to give you my insights of what I see, and I do a lot of homework, and I use the filters that were taught to me by my mentors in geology, geophysics, and geochemistry to as my microscope, if you will. But you got to do your own homework and speak with your financial advisors. And I put in a particular emphasis on every show I've ever done about doing your homework. And the reason for that is that during my career, I've seen that the most successful investors are the ones that are the most well informed. And that's true not only in the mining sector, but any sector. Be a well informed investor, and you're less likely to make those emotional decisions on short term fluctuations in stock or metals prices. And you're more likely to make rational, logical decisions, and that's what leads to success as an investor. On that note, you have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching this show from, and we will talk to you soon.